My name is Colin McGinn. It's really easy to see looking around that the world's in a pretty difficult state right now. There's conflict and famine and just all sorts of nastiness, and just 5 minutes watching television news will show you that side of the world. But what usually doesn't get reported on is there's a lot of groups and individuals that are working hard to make the world a nicer place. One of these groups is Doctors Without Borders. In French, it's Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF for short. It's a group that annually they employ over 22,000 doctors and nurses and logisticians and other experts that help distribute humanitarian and medicinal aid to countries and populations that are in crisis and without other available medical care. They do their work in over 60 countries across most of the globe, and they are almost entirely run by volunteers and donations. They have a creed where they will help anybody who's in crisis and without other help, regardless of race or color or religion or political leaning. If you need the help, they'll be there for you. They have a strong neutrality policy for who they help, but that's not really true for governments and other institutions that are causing the strife to begin with. They've been in Iraq and Afghanistan and Liberia and Rwanda and Ethiopia and just tons of other places, and they've run into trouble sometimes. Like in Ethiopia about a decade ago, they were giving aid to a malnourished population, and they learned that the government was actually hoarding the humanitarian aid packages, and it was causing thousands of people to be displaced from their homes and suffer. And so MSF spoke out about that on an international news network and were promptly required to leave the country. Governments don't really like being called out on their bad dealings. The same thing is actually happening in Beirut in Lebanon right now. Syria has been doing a lot of bombings on insurgents and other groups, and there's been evidence that they've actually been targeting civilian populations and hospitals, and MSF has just called them out on that in the New York Times, so we'll see how long they get to keep working there. They work with victims of conflict, malnutrition, disease epidemics. They've done a lot of work with the AIDS epidemic in Rwanda, and they also work for disaster relief. They were in Haiti, actually helping clean up after the earthquake. And like I said earlier, all of their money comes from donations and volunteers, and it's a really great organization to give to even if you don't have the time to actually be in a position, because as you can see here, 86% of the money that they get goes straight towards programs and services that actually distribute aid to people. There's another 11% for fundraising and just 3% that goes to management and overhead costs and things like that. Even if you don't have the money to give yourself, they also have starter kits for fundraisers, and there's just a ton of ways you can do or things you can do to help. If all of that's too much, just be happy knowing, I suppose, that there are groups working tirelessly to make sure that the world is a better place than it was yesterday. Thanks for listening.